A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional. Let's do some intentions. This one is a voicemail. That's fun. Let's roll the tape.
Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. I'm writing and hoping for an intention to help me actually do my physical therapy exercises. So physical therapy, I think everybody knows that you're trying to train your body to use muscles in ways that it's not used to doing or it doesn't really do. So that is already difficult and I have to be like mindful and pay attention. So it's not like something that I can watch TV and actually like do while paying attention, while making it more fun. But my physical therapy includes like this really awful, like stress and anxiety inducing breathing pattern where you breathe in for 2 seconds, you breathe out for at least 6 or for as long as you can. You hold your breath afterwards for 2 more seconds, and then you repeat the cycle without taking an additional breath. And you can't breathe faster on the inhale or anything so you do this cycle 5 times. So at the very end, you just really have no more air in your lungs. And my face gets really hot and it just I feel very anxious while I'm doing it. So I don't really like it. And also I'm not really feeling pain in my daily life if I don't do physical therapy. I just feel it when I do some yoga postures. So I feel like it's not enough of a negative like stimulus to get me to actually like really focus on doing the physical therapy. I find that I try and like skip it and I hope that maybe my body mechanics are better or something like that without doing the physical therapy every day. Like I'll do it once or twice a week, but I really need to be doing it more. I've been really dragging my feet on leaving this voicemail too because I dread doing these exercises so much that I almost don't even want an intention to help me do these exercises. But I'm finally getting around to it. So I'm hoping you'll have a good intention for me that'll make me feel better about doing these exercises. Thank you so much. Love the podcast. Bye.
Okay. Glad that was a voicemail. We really got to hear in her voice how much she hates this breathing exercise.
Yeah, even talking about it, she doesn't even seem to like really. But it's funny. It's interesting because I think the specifics of this do make it interesting because it is something. I think a lot of things are like this, where it's like it's not like she can't walk if she doesn't do this thing. Like there's not. It's hard to be motivated for something that will incrementally improve your life a little bit, but not in such a monumental way that it's really going to change everything about the way you live. So these are kind of the hardest things to improve.
Totally. Yep. There's, in psychology, when you're talking about like motivating someone to make a change, there's 3 big factors that they talk about, which are, you're kind of pointing at the first one, which is importance. So like, how important is it that I make this change? And so you need kind of like high levels on one, importance. The second one is confidence. Can I actually do this? Do I think I'm capable of doing this? And the last one is readiness. So sounds like she's ready. I think the other 2 in terms of like importance and confidence that she can do it, sounds like maybe there's confidence that she can do it, but you're pointing on that first one, which doesn't sound like she thinks it's that important.
Right.
That she does this, especially if this thing is really uncomfortable. It's hard to push yourself to do something that's important, that's uncomfortable if you don't think it's important to actually get it done.
Right.
Like I could imagine doing this exercise every day so that you can complete 1 or 2 yoga poses. I'm a little confused about frankly,
yeah.
why she needs to do this. I think there are some, there's something called hypoxic breathing, which is like sounds like this is what she's doing, which is like you kind of train yourself to tolerate having less oxygen in your body. And there are, don't quote me on this, but there are some benefits that I think from using that breath work technique, some health benefits. Maybe that's what she's going for. I'm not sure exactly what she's going for, but in order for her to do this, she's going to have to buy into what she's doing and why.
And think it's right. Like you agree. Exactly what you said. Think it's really important because otherwise she could just skip those poses.
Yeah.
Is that like the actual only, I would actually, if I were her, I would write a list of the actual impacts that not doing these exercises would have. And then be like, could I just not do these things for the rest of my life? How much would it affect my happiness?
Yes.
Like I'll give you a great example from this morning. Mike, we went to a wedding a couple weekends ago and Mike, like someone like on the dance floor, like pushed into him or something and he chipped his tooth on a beer bottle. Yeah, he chipped his tooth. So he went this morning to get it fixed and they gave him a couple options. And one was like, they fixed it, but they were like, you just can't, like it probably will like come off again, whatever this sealant thing is. If you do something like, he's like, if you ever bite into an apple, like again in your entire life, this will probably like chip again. And Mike's like, I don't really like apples that much. I'm just, or there's like another like more intensive, more expensive way to fix this tooth.
Right.
And you can do whatever and you don't have to think about it. But he's probably, you're just constantly weighing. He's kind of like, I don't like apples that much. I'm just not going to do this other annoying thing. And I think it's funny because I feel like in this culture, you're sort of taught to do the harder thing, no matter what it is. Like that feels like, you're striving or you're someone who doesn't take the easy way out. And that's true for some things. I think if it's a goal that really makes sense to you, or you could just not eat the apple. You could just not do the yoga poses.
Yeah. I think it really matters why you're doing it. I totally agree, especially when it comes to something that makes you feel like you can't breathe. That's like panic induced. That's a really hard one. That to me is different than, which is probably why hard exercise is hard for people, because not being able to breathe inherently makes you feel like I'm going to die.
Right.
That's like the worst feeling you can have, is the feeling that you're going to die. Like, that's why I think sometimes it's even like a burning sensation in your muscles. If you're doing squats or you're doing abs or something, it's like, you're not going to, when you do really hard ab exercises, you don't feel like you're going to die. You just feel like, ouch, this kind of hurts. It's a burning sensation. It's uncomfortable. But if you're, like doing this where you're emptying your lungs, or you're, running, which is why I think a lot of people really don't like running, because it makes you really out of breath. And then you feel like, that you have that thought of like, I could die if I can't breathe. So this is an intense feeling that you're experiencing. So you're going to I think you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out why you're doing this and what the benefits are in order to get yourself some motivation to get there. And I agree with you. I think you're paying to see a physical therapist. She's telling you, here's this hard work thing that you have to do. And so you kind of feel like, okay, I should do this. I'm paying this expert. They're telling me this is important. And so I should take it seriously. But it's different than a physical therapist. It's like, hey, if you don't do this exercise, you might not ever be able to like wash your own hair again, or like reach your arm up above your head, or you never be able to get a glass from a high shelf. Like, that seems important. Like not being able to do like crow pose.
Right. Does that change your quality of life?
Right. So
only she could, I don't know how intensive a yogi she is. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it would. I don't know.
Yeah. I think you have to figure out what your motivation is here. I wish that you would have said a little bit more about it, but I think until you understand the importance of what you're doing and feel confident that you could do it. Look, this sounds hard. When I read this, I tried it. I didn't do the full 5 rounds, but I tried some of what she said. And I could see after 5 rounds and really emptying your lungs, it feels uncomfortable. But I don't think your physical therapist would be prescribing something that's going to be dangerous, that's going to harm you, I hope. So I would definitely go back to the drawing board, think about your reasons for why you're doing this. And if you decide that it's worth it, that you want to do it because you want this different level of functioning, then you have to start with calm. Like this is not going to hurt me. This is not going to harm me. This is important. I can do it. I'm ready. Begin. But you have to believe that first. So, yeah.
Yeah. I like your 3-tiered thing, though. I think that's going to be helpful and relatable for a lot of people. I'm going to try to use that for meditation, which I cannot seem to manage to do consistently. And I think it's probably because of maybe an importance thing.
Right. You're not sure that you buy into how important it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing. You have to believe in it. Like anything. Your doctor tells you take this medicine, right? Like if you're like, I don't know if I need that, you're like not probably going to really take it consistently.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny because I don't know if I'd call myself a cynical person, but I question things. Mm-hmm. So for something like meditation, where it's not like you can see an immediate tangible benefit, or even like tangible, something that you can feel and see directly, right? So that's, I think, probably hard for me and a lot of other people to get into, because you're like, you can't look at a person and tell that they meditate.
Right. Yep.
So the confidence in it, or the importance, rather, the feeling of importance is hard to fully know until you get there.
Right. Yeah. And that's why you'll notice a lot of meditation apps will have a feature, an option for you to like rate your mood that day or whatever. And I think it's because they want people to believe in it and start to see, on the days where I meditate, I feel this way before, I feel this way after. Like I've meditated for a month. I started off with these symptoms and now I have less of these symptoms, and they are more subjective. And we do tend to, if you have a problem or a discomfort, once it's gone, sometimes we don't even stop to acknowledge that it's gone. We just move on and are kind of like, okay, what's the next thing that I want to be gone?
Yeah. I love this framework.
Yeah. Yeah. I notice that with parenting a lot, where I'll kind of be like so worried about some problem with one of my kids, and then like they have a rash or something, and I'm like thinking about like, oh my God, that rash. And then like the next day I check the rash and it's gone. And I'm like, okay. Like I'm not like, oh wow, it's so amazing, the rash is gone. And then the next day I think, oh, I'm so thankful that they don't have that rash anymore. It's just like, that's it, gone, move to the next. Now what's the next thing to focus on? So
very true. Yeah.
In order to kind of lean into wanting to make a change or working hard on something, you really have to believe that the effort that you're putting in makes sense, and is going to be worth it. So yeah, let us know how it goes. This does sound challenging. I'll give you that.
Yes. Good luck. Definitely wouldn't want to do that. All right, let's do some triggers. I will read this one. Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. Big fan of you both and so grateful for the podcast. I listen to you every Tuesday while walking my dog, and it's my favorite walk of the week. I love that.
Yeah.
I have a triggered scenario that I want your take on. I go to CrossFit, and there's a couple that brings their now 2-year-old kid to the class 2 to 3 times a week. It drives me crazy. The baby often crawls, toddles at this point, all over the room, and I have to be aware of its location at all times so I don't drop a barbell on it. To the parents' credit, they will usually intercept the child before it reaches someone. I feel a little irrational because nothing has happened yet and the coach doesn't say anything, but it's so distracting and especially hard to focus on towards the end of class when I'm trying to keep good form. It's also not uncommon for class members to lift to failure on strength days, meaning they push to the upper limit of the weight they can lift and have to fail midway through a rep. This is especially annoying because our gym offers free childcare. Sometimes the couple will go into the daycare and bring the kid out halfway through class. They also have weird PDA during class that also triggers me. They sit on each other's laps while the coach explains the workout, kissing in between reps, etc. That may also be adding to my irritation. LOL. I feel crazy because no one else in the class seems bothered by them. They're also very nice and encouraging in class, so I feel like an asshole. Very curious your guys' thoughts on this. Signed, not your babysitter, Batch.
Yeah, I think bringing a toddler into a workout class where there's barbells being lifted and dropped is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they allow that, just like liability purposes. The gym just seems like a very weird move that they would allow a crawling child around heavy workout equipment.
I totally agree. I'm actually very surprised. It's one thing. I mean, even a baby could, even if there were no heavy weights, they could just easily get kicked or smacked or I would not want to have to think about where my feet are going. Is there a baby behind me when I'm like lifting my legs or
Yeah, because it's not even the kind of thing where she could be like, well, this isn't my problem. Because she's like not going to be like, oh, if I accidentally hit the baby, it's fine because it's not my problem. Like no one wants to injure or pretend or like risk injuring a child. So it is her problem.
Right.
The PDA thing is like annoying, but like can't really do much about that. But I would say something to the instructor or like the front desk.
Yeah, it's just, I don't even like to work out with my own kids like crawling around or in the space for this exact reason. It's just distracting and it's hard enough. Speaking of like pushing your body and doing things that are uncomfortable, you know, you're on your like 10th rep and you can barely breathe. If I had a little kid that I like just wanted to drop my weight and I saw a toddler behind me, yeah, I'm getting triggered just thinking about this.
Yeah. I think it's triggering that no one is doing anything about it. So now like it sounds like she hasn't said anything. I would say something behind their back as is your right.
Yeah, I think it's very reasonable. Maybe this instructor is kind of like waiting for someone to complain. And I would be shocked. You say no one else seems to care. I would be shocked if nobody else really cares.
Right. They probably just feel weird because the couple's so nice.
Yes.
Saying anything. So they're not like acting actively agitated.
Yes, exactly. Everyone's like trying to be nice. I'm sure the baby's so cute and everyone's like, oh, it's so cute. And that's great. And like, I appreciate what this couple is trying to do, which is like maintain their pre-baby lifestyle with their baby. Like
there's babysitting.
Yeah,
there's no
babies.
So weird. If there was no babysitting, it would be more understandable. There's like there's a daycare there.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, look, I get that dropping your kid off for daycare is babysitting at the gym is challenging because they don't really know the people and I've had many of those where I leave like a screaming baby in a gym babysitting room and it's not fun. Like I hear you. But this is not an alternative, especially in a CrossFit class with weights. Like if this was a yoga class, even I could maybe not even like, no.
Yeah.
But when
less
you're
dangerous.
Moving, less dangerous. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Less dangerous. Like if I'm lifting a weight to failure and I have to think before I'm like pushing my body to its limit, I have to think before I drop this weight, am I going to smash a toddler in the face? Yeah, no. I find this triggering. I give this a 6.5.
I agree with that statement. I would complain if I were her. Or at least I would like have it be on record that you think this is very unsafe.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm shocked. I wonder what gym this is. Most gyms are super tight about like liability stuff. Like I've even tried to bring my like 10-year-old in to just like walk next to me on the treadmill and they won't let me do that. And it's like, they're not in anyone else's space and they're not a toddler. Like I'm shocked.
Right.
Yeah. Talk to the teacher. Just say it's very distracting and I'm really nervous that this baby's going to get hurt. And my fear about that is making it hard to focus on the workout. And I think that baby will be gone the next day because
I agree.
I don't think
And if
anyone
it's
can say no
not,
to that.
I would question this gym.
Yeah.
I think it's a very weird move to allow that. I would question their other safety practices if they're letting
Totally.
2-year-olds like crawl around among 100-pound weights being dropped. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Validated. Moving on.
All right, let's do one more.
Okay. I will read our last triggered. Hello. I have a triggered scenario that is actually a two-parter, which I think gets much worse in the second part, but I'm curious to know your thoughts. For the first part, I posted on Instagram and Facebook to announce that my fiance and I bought a house and got engaged just to make it easier to tell family. The person in the comment is one of my mom's friends that she used to be close to, but now only talks to occasionally. She lives in my hometown, which is about 3 hours away from where I currently live. Her first comment didn't really trigger me. I thought it was a little weird because I don't really want to have a conversation underneath my Facebook post. However, I still tried to be nice and respond to her, but then her reply triggered me and I thought it was so weird. We bought our house in a suburb of a certain city, but I never said where it is in the post. So she must have looked at my profile after seeing the post.
Okay, let's read this conversation and decide how triggering it is. Do you want to be the listener or the weird family friend?
I'll be the weird family friend.
Okay.
Okay, so weird family friend writes, congrats, awesome. You live in X city. How long you been living there?
I've lived in the area since I graduated college, so around 6 years now.
Awesome. I go there once a month to take my mom to the doctor. Always looking for fun things to do, so if you ever have any ideas, send them my way.
That seems harmless.
Harmless. I think it's just some people, harmless. She's saying she's not looking to have a conversation, but seemed normal.
The next conversation.
So am I reading this?
Yeah.
While I was slightly triggered by this, I didn't think that much of it and just didn't respond until today I received the below Facebook message from her. The city she wanted me to go to for her is 35 minutes from my house. It's not super relevant, but you can see the last time she messaged me was in 2018 when she was also trying to get discounted diapers through my dad's work, even though my parents are divorced, so he does not know her at all. It's cut off, but the first message is from 9/22/18.
Okay, so you'll continue to be
the weird friend says, any word on the diaper sale at this place with your dad? So that was on September 22nd, 2018. And then on October 16th, again, after no response to any word on the diaper sale at this place with your dad. Then again, about a month later, she writes, copies and pastes the exact message. Any word on the diaper sale at this place with your dad?
No answer.
No answer.
So now it's been 7 years?
7 years later. Okay. I love the fact that text messages stay.
Yes. It's great.
Forever because
it hasn't deterred this person.
No.
Because if I looked at a conversation I had with someone and it was 2 messages that I'd sent and they didn't answer it, I would be like embarrassed and not say anything, but not this woman.
Yes. So again, 7 years later, after 2 unanswered messages, weird friend says, I have a favor to see if you would do for me, haha. I want to get some skis and stuff from a lady that lives in this town 35 minutes from you. Would you be able to get them for me? She wouldn't hold for me until I'm in town on the 10th.
No, that's not something I feel comfortable doing. Sorry. Yeah, this is a crazy ask. The first Facebook message reply seems like standard my mom's friend commenting on a Facebook post, which is exactly where they would do it. Seems friendly. I think that one's fine.
Yeah, totally fine. 0 on the triggered scale for number 1.
The text is like annoying and ballsy.
Yes.
For sure. Like, would you drive 35 minutes to get these? I haven't spoken to you in 7 years. Would you
35 minutes to go meet a stranger that you found on Facebook Marketplace, 35 minutes each way. That is a crazy ask.
I mean, listen, like if you texted me that, you're like, could you do me this huge favor?
Yeah, you better go.
We speak all the time. It's 35 minutes. I've got this great deal. I would really be like, it would be so helpful to me to do this. I would be like a little annoyed that I had to do it, but I would do it.
Right.
And it would make sense. But like, can you imagine texting that to someone you haven't spoken to in 7 years, to someone that you've never had like a close relationship with?
Yes. And I'm so glad she left. She gave us the conversation where the last two messages were 7 years ago, her asking for another type of discount. Yeah. This is annoying. I will say, I don't know that I would say it's super triggering because she said no and the issue was dropped.
Yeah.
So it was a ballsy ask, but I love that she just said, nope, not comfortable with that. End of conversation. This was actually good practice for you in just saying no. So
yeah. I actually think in some ways this is like you're going to get more entertainment out of this than that, because I would screenshot this and send it to every member of my family, including my mom, who doesn't really speak to her again.
Yes.
And I'd be like, remember your crazy friend, Kim?
Right. Yes. She's back. First it was diapers. Now it's skis. Yeah. Some people just have no shame, no limits.
I'm impressed that she said a very clear, I'm not comfortable doing that text. I think I would have just ignored or made up an excuse and just been like, if I didn't want to ignore, I would have just said, don't really have the time or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I think either way would have been fine, especially if it's 30. If it was 5 minutes from her house, still
weird.
You don't know anyone.
Shoot your shot.
Right.
Fine. Yeah.
It's your next door neighbor, right.
If it's 5 minutes from there, she kind of knows this person. I could see like thinking it was like kind of being embarrassed to ask someone, but kind of just being like, let me just try, and it'll be awkward if she says no. 35 minutes, crazy.
Yeah. And some self-awareness. Like it does seem, even when she, like I tried to clean it up, but this text, it's like, if I was going to do this, I probably would have reread the text like 3 times.
Yes.
It's all like disjointed. What it actually says is, I have a favor to see if you would do for me. Haha. I want to get some skis and stuff from a lady that lives in town for $100. Would there be able chance you would get for me? She wouldn't hold for me. It's like, I don't know.
Not even coherently written. If you were going to do it, I would start with, I know this is like extremely inconvenient. Yes. I would be eternally grateful. I know we don't speak that often. I figured you're the only person I know in town, and I would just shoot my shot. If you can't do it, no big deal. I would have had like 17 disclaimers in there.
Yes.
And I actually think if she did that, I might be like, I wouldn't go, but I might be like, I'm actually going to be in that town in a couple weeks. If it's like super, I probably wouldn't do this, but like there's a shot she might say something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. There was just like no shame after the other 2 messages. Speaking of which, I watched Jared on the Golden Bachelor, which was awesome. So
it was very funny. Yeah.
Very funny. He was great. I was super proud to see him up there. That was really awesome. And so I texted him afterwards and just told him, how great it was, and that I was excited to go see him when he comes to Dallas. So speaking of, being shamed into submission, so he was like, oh, awesome. Can't wait. Like, how many tickets do you need? So I said, no. We got them. No need. So, sometimes you got to put someone into their place and let them know, and then they learn. So
that's so funny.
We will never be asking for free ticket. Of course he would. He was offering them.
Yeah.
he was offering them. Of course he would. I know he would. He was sweet. Funny. He was genuinely, I think, offering them, but I was like, no, we got this. So like a little pushback
Humility,
can teach someone a nice lesson.
I forgot about Ticketgate.
For those of you that don't know, listen back. We'll try to find whatever the episode that was.
Basically we, it's sort of a joke in our family that we don't like to pay for tickets.
I like free stuff. I could see she got a pair of skis for $100.
It's a good deal.
It's a great deal. I would be very tempted, but
it's about the way you're asking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I think if she asked that way, even if she said no, her response would be a little nicer. The response might be like, I don't really have time.
Yes.
Instead
right.
of, I don't feel comfortable
Yeah.
doing that because you're a user.
Right.
The only times you've been texting me are for me to do you favors and I don't know you that well.
Right. And me ignoring you 2 times in a row, separated by a month and 7 years, didn't really get the message across. So, yeah.
I give it a 4. Not that it's so triggering, but it is kind of annoying to be put in a position to where you have to like reject someone for something that's perfectly reasonable, but makes you feel like a little bit of an asshole. And I don't think she is one, but I could see why it would just be like, I have to deal with this person who doesn't understand any boundaries. And that's kind of annoying for me.
Yeah, I agree. Part of me is like, okay, you said no, it's not that triggering, but I do think it triggers that response of like, now I have to kind of be a little bit harsh to get this message across. That's not how I like to interact with people. So it's making me do something that's like out of my comfort zone. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. Well, thanks for writing in, guys. And thank you for subscribing. Thank you for emailing oversharing@betches.com. We love getting your emails. And we'll have a bonus episode. There's a bonus episode out right now. There's another one coming at the end of the month. So check it out.
All right. That's our time.
Great work today.